Hello, welcome back to my channel. How you doing? Remember, I promised you the sewing tutorial to the palazzo trouser I posted earlier. Here it is. Okay, so this is my own palazzo trouser. All right, so this is the outcome of the sewing tutorial, and you can see how beautiful. Now look at the band. I promised you that my band, that after making this, that your band would relax on your waist. Look at the front, they look at the back. It's not gaping, it's not rumpled, it's not ruffled, like it's snatched. Look at how beautiful that. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. Celebrate grace. All right, so if you make your trouser and you cannot bend, you cannot squat, you can't bike, you can't enter Sambisa forest, you can't, do taekwondo, karate, all of those things, please, I am not your sewing plug. Okay, if your trouser doesn't fit like this, I don't know you. You can see my shakara has increased. So if your shakara has now increased, oh, look at that, 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 look at that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make exactly something like this, that when you're done, you'd love the outcome. Everything is going to come out properly. All right, so now this is 2021. Our sewing game has to be lit. You can see at the crotch area, I'm not having that fold at that point that will make it look like you have the biggest in the whole wardrobe. So I love you, and that is why I'm doing this. So let me show you how to come up with something like this. Right, so on the working table, I have my fabric. Okay, I've already transferred the pattern to the fabric. Okay, so this is the back. Okay, I placed the two back patterns together and I held the crotch. Okay, I had to sew in the crotch with the ½ inch that we left. So sew in the crotch with ½ inch, and I've locked it. So this is what it looks like. Then this is the front. Okay, so you go hold the two front pieces, join it at the crotch area with ½ inch. That's the allowance we left. You overlock. You do this thing step by step, so that you have a very clean finishing. Right, so the next thing is to take my dart. Right, so I would go back to my pattern. Now remember that when we were cutting out this pattern, that after cutting out the pattern, we took out 1.5 inches for the band. So taking out that 1.5 inches has now shortened my dart width. Okay, so you can see that I have ½ inch left for my dart. Okay, tracing the dart on the pattern gives you that room to decide what is happening, or to know what is happening. So after taking out my band, my dart is now short, it's now ½ inch, so it means it is ½ inch on both sides. So on my dart position, I'll just go and take ½ inch on both sides for my dart. Okay, it's no longer ½ inch on both sides. Now if you do this, you're going to come up with a trouser that is so tight and it won't be fitted. Okay, so I'll fold back my trouser into two. Okay, the front pattern into two. Remember, for me, I'm only darting the front. Okay, the back I chose not to dart it. I left it. I use the dart allowance as my seam allowance. Okay, and you can still see that I have a perfect fit at the back. So I place the front pattern on the pattern on the fabric, okay, just to get my dart position right. So that's why I didn't notch on the fabric initially, okay, because I know that the dart would reduce when you cut off the band. So I'll just go and notch that point. Okay, then I'll take it to the sewing machine. Now the next thing would be to check your dart length. Your dart length would also reduce because we took out 1.5 inches, so we left a dart length of 4.5. so taking out 1.5 inches left us with 3 inches dart length. Okay, so these are the things to put into consideration. That means you're going to sew a dart length of 3 inches and the width of ¼ inch on both sides of the dart line. Okay, so the next thing is the band. Excuse me. So this is the band. Remember, I marked the band so the side that is up and down. Okay, so this is up and this is down. So, and I also labeled center front and side front. Now because you've joined the crotch together at the front and at the back, it means the front is now one pattern, one whole piece. Okay, the back as well. All right, so this is the back. Now what I'm holding now is the front. So I had to cut it on fold because we now need one full pattern, because the front is now one full pattern. So I labeled the center front. So the center front, I'll place my fabric, then unfold, then place the center front on it, then cut exactly what I have on my pattern. That's why I said you need to label, so that when you are transferring to your fabric, you wouldn't have issues. Please, if you're watching this and you've not seen the cutting tutorial, please, you need to go and see that. Okay, that's the only way you will be you catch up with what we're doing. Right, so I cut two pieces for the front. Okay, two pieces for the front. Okay, one is lining, one is the main fabric, but I used exactly the same fabric. Now I did the same thing for the back. Okay, and I added my 1 inch back to the back. Remember, I used 1 inch from the back. Okay, because I took out the dart, and you remember my dart is my seam allowance for the back, so I placed it back to my band. Right, so like I was telling you, for the front band I had to cut two. Okay, then I notched the upper part. Okay, remember I indicated up and down, so what I did was to notch the part that is the upper part. Okay, you can say I placed two notches. So, and I cut out two pieces for the band. One would be lining, one would be main fabric. Okay, but I'm using the same exact fabric to do the lining as well. So I'll place it right sides facing right sides. Then remember that 1/2 inch I added to the upper part, so I'm going to use that 1/2 inch to join, so that the two bands, the lining and the fabric would be the same. Okay, I'll then go and stitch with 1/2 inch. I'll do the same thing to the back. You can see I also notched the back and also cut out two pieces for the band. Okay, so I'll just do this same thing that I've done now. Right sides facing right sides, then I'll go and stitch it down. First of all, I'm stitching my dart. Okay, remember the dart leg is now 1/4 inch, no longer 1.5 inch. Okay, and the dart length as well is 3 inches. So I'm going to use that figure to stitch my dart down like so. Okay, so I'm done with this side. I'll just go and repeat the same thing to the other side. Okay, so you can see the dart. I'll do the same thing to the other side and stitch down my dart. Okay, so just one step at a time. You need to sew your dart before you attach your band. Okay, remember the band does not have the dart allowance. Okay, please, I'm emphasizing, go and watch the cutting tutorial first before you watch this one. If you just stumbled on this sewing tutorial, please, you'll be lost if you don't go and watch the cutting tutorial. Okay, you know I love you now. You know I have mad love for you. All right, so I'm maintaining my dart length and my dart width. Okay, and I'm stitching the dart so on the two sides of the front. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Right, okay, so I'm done stitching down the dart like so. Okay, so this is you can see the positioning of the dart. You can see how it is. So I'll keep this aside, then we'll start working on the band. So this is the front band. Okay, remember, right sides facing right sides, then you go and stitch the upper part. You need to notch to indicate that that's the upper part, because if you place it wrongly, you're going to have a band that that has gaping at the back. All right, so I'll go and stitch it down with 1/2 inch all the way round like so, maintaining my seam allowance. Okay, because you don't want to shorten the length of your band. So 1/2 inch, I'll then go cut it out. You can see what it looks like. So I'll just come in and notch it all the way round. Okay, just to release the tension around that area, so that everything will be nice and smooth. Okay, so I'll go notch it all the way round. Right, so you are still watching. You like good thing, you like better thing, Abi, or you're now join us, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so that each time I upload a new video, you'll be first to be notified. As in, they'll just come to your door, knock, knock, no one has uploaded a video, go and see it. Okay, and I know you like that. Okay, so after notching this, I'll then go and flip it over and top stitch. So while I top stitch, what I'll do would be to push the seam allowance. Okay, that 1/2 inch seam allowance you use in sewing, you're going to push it towards your lining piece. Okay, both of them is the same fabric, but one would be your lining piece, so you push it towards the lining piece and you go and top stitch it. Okay, to give it more firmness, and it wouldn't be moving around. Okay, so top stitch with 1/4 inch all the way round. Okay, this is going to give it a firm grip. Okay, like so. Yeah. Right, so you now fold it back into two. Okay, so bring it to the table to attach to the trouser. Okay, so the band is separate on its own. We've created the balance at the upper part, so we now need to attach the band to the trouser. Okay, so I'll place the band into two. Okay, just to get the midpoint. All right, so when I place it into two, I'll go and notch the middle. Okay, just so that you would attach this band properly. Okay, so you just make sure you tuck everything out so that it's properly folded into two, so you can get the midpoint correctly. Very, very important. Okay, so here is my midpoint. Yeah, then I'll come in with a notch. Okay, so the guideline, okay, the crotch area is already a guide for us to know the midpoint for the trouser. So I'll place the midpoint of the band on the midpoint of the trouser, which is where we had sewn the crotch area. So I'm just going to pin it down. Okay, now the part that I'm pinning to the trouser is the main fabric. Remember, the band is into two, the fabric and the lining. Okay, so I'm placing the fabric right sides facing right side. I'm placing the main fabric of the band to the fabric of the trouser, the front pattern. Okay, so that when I'm done, I'll flip the lining. I use the lining to cover up my stitches for the front. Okay, so after pinning, I went ahead to stitch it round. Okay, to stitch the band to the trouser. Okay, you can see what it looks like. You pin it down and you go and stitch it using 1/2 inch. That's the allowance we left for joining the band. You can see it is 1/2 inch. Okay, so like I said, the next thing we'll do will be to flip the lining inwards. You can see how the upper part is now. You can see how the band is lapped on the trouser. You can see that curved line. Okay, that slanted line we made in front, you can see it. So if you place them accordingly, even the upper part, the slant line is also shown on the upper part. Okay, so flipping the lining to the back, you're going to use your lining to cover the stitch. Remember, the lining also has the 1/2 inch seam allowance that is supposed to attach the bands to the trouser. So I'll now fold in that 1/2 inch. Okay, then push my sewing allowance inwards, okay, to relax on the main fabric. Then I use the lining to cover up the band, okay, to cover up my stitches. So my stitching is inward. You can see the way I'm pinning it. Okay, so you fold in 1/2 inch, use it to cover your stitch, like so, like this. Okay, so you then go and sew it down. Everything is now concealed, very clean, inside and outside. All right, so I'm done sewing. So I'll do the same thing I did for the front. I'll do the same thing to the back. Okay, it's the same procedure. So whatever I've done to the front, I'll repeat the same process for the back. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, just so that this video doesn't get too long. Okay, so I've done the back and I've done the front. Okay, you can see how beautiful. You can see it has followed the shape that we give. Okay, so there is no way, there is nothing on earth that will make this trouser not relax on your waist, even if it's juju. This is the front. See finishing, see cleanness. Cleanliness. You can see how beautiful that is. Okay, so even if they are doing it from the village, they know reach. Okay, so this is it. Super beautiful. So what I'm going to do is just to place the front and the back together, right sides facing right side, so that we can take in the outer seam, okay, or the side seam. Right, so remember, my sewing allowance is 1/2 inch. Okay, I told us that for trousers I like to do 1/2 inch, so that the allowance is not going to be showing from the inside of your trouser. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch with 1/2 inch. But if you have those clients that used to add when they drink water, add when they breathe in air, please, I beg you in the name of God, add 10 inches allowance, 15, 50, so that anytime they increase, you can loosen up the stitches. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch 1/2 inch on the outer seam, okay, by the sides, for the left hand and for the right hand side. Right, look at that puree. Look at how beautiful it looks. Okay, so you can see the front and the back band. Now you can see that the back band is higher than the front. Okay, so that's the deal. Okay, that's what makes it the trouser, because that is going to cover the back, will just cover all those blessings that God packaged behind you. You know, it's just going to cover it up. Now towards either the left hand side or the right hand side, whichever place you want, you would leave at least 7 inches for your zip allowance. Okay, because I want to have a side zip. I don't want to have the zip in front. Okay, so you leave 7 inches for your zip allowance. You're going to attach an invisible zip to the side. Okay, now the next thing would be to hem the lower part of your trouser. Okay, so to hem the lower part, because we've stitched the side seam, okay, you stitch the side seam first, the inner seam, the outer seam. So remember we left 2 inches hemming allowance. I'm going to fold in 1 inch, then another 1 inch. Okay, I'll go pin it down. Right, so you first fold in 1 inch and another 1 inch. So but if you do this, you're not going to have Congo style. You know that style that there are times you fold your trouser, the hem of your trouser, if you fold it after sewing the inseam or the outseam, you are likely to have one leg higher, one side higher than the other side. It's called Congo style. You'll not be looking like you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so the trick to that is to sew your side seam or your outer seam first. Okay, then you now do your hemming allowance for the bottom of your trouser before stitching the inseam. So I've done this, so I'll just go and stitch it all the way. Okay, so this tutorial is packed with lots of sewing tips for trousers, you know. Okay, so I'm done doing that. You can see, and afterwards you iron it. Very, very important. Okay, so that that part will just lay very flat. You can see that beauty. Okay, so now after doing that, you're now free to go and flip it inwards and join the inseam. Okay, so just know that whatever you're doing afterwards, you overlock them so that you have a very clean finishing. So you just go and match the crotch depth. Okay, you know that part that's supposed to be between the legs. Okay, you just go and make sure that you match the stitches together, match the lower part together, hold them together like so. You can pin it down so that it's not moving around. Okay, you want to get all the points accurately. Okay, neatness is the goal. Okay, so you go and stitch with 1/2 inch all the way round, even to the other side, the same thing, 1/2 inch. Then when you are done, you now go and attach your zipper to the side like so. Okay, when you are done, you attach your zipper to this side. Afterwards, you can rock your trouser to heaven. Okay, so that's the end. I hope you found this tutorial very helpful. If you found it helpful, please consider subscribing, like this video, share it with your friends, and make sure to practice and share with us. So this is my trouser with a top I made for it. Okay, so this is another angle. I had to take videos. You can see the waistband for the front, no ruffles, no gaping. The back as well, no gaping. It's properly fitted. Everywhere is okay, everywhere is so neat, clean, beautiful. You can do anything, dance for days, squat for days, do any. See, if you make trousers and you cannot do these things, you can't bend down, you can't gyrate, you can't. I beg. I'll see you in my next one. And remember, my name is Noni and I have mad love for you. I love you so much. Keep up sewing, keep up practicing. Okay, if you're a beginner, okay, I have a word for you. Just keep on practicing. Keep on watching sewing videos. Keep on learning. You'll get there. I love you. Bye.